Sachi Devī ki
Jai Saraswati Devi ki jai. Jai Śrīla Gurudev. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Sakshur Militan Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vadinyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Kora Tuse Namaha. Vanjakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. We're reading from Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya-līlā, chapter 4, Sri Madhavendra Puri's devotional service. Text 129. A sannyasi named Madhavendra Puri is sitting in the vacant marketplace.
Sorry, Didi, what verse?
It's verse 129. A sannyasi named Madhavendra Puri is sitting in the vacant marketplace. Please take this pot of sweet rice from behind me and deliver it to him. That is Krishna saying to the pujari, right? Yeah, that is Gopinath, the Gopinath deity. Awakening from the dream, the priest immediately rose from bed and thought it wise to take a bath before entering the deity's room. He then opened the temple door. According to the deity's directions, the priest found the pot of sweet rice behind the cloth curtain. He removed the pot and mopped up the place where it had been kept. He then went out of the temple. Closing the door of the temple, he went to the village with the pot of sweet rice. He called out in every stall in search of Madhavendra Puri. Holding the pot of sweet rice, the priest called, "Will he, whose name is Madhavendra Puri, please come and take this pot? Gopinath has stolen this pot for you." Purport by Srila Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti-vedanta Swāmī Prabhupada. The difference between the absolute truth and relative truth is explained here. Lord Gopinath has openly declared herein that he is a thief. He had stolen the pot of sweet rice, and this was not kept a secret because his act of stealing is a source of great transcendental bliss. In the material world, theft is criminal, but in the spiritual world, the Lord's stealing is a source of transcendental bliss. Mundane rascals who cannot understand the absolute nature of the personality of Godhead sometimes call Lord Sri Krishna immoral, but they do not know that the seemingly immoral activities which are not kept secret afford pleasure to the devotees. Not understanding the transcendental behavior of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, these rascals slur his character and immediately fall into the category of miscreants, rascals, lowest among men, demons, and whose knowledge has been taken away by the illusory energy. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Mundane rascals cannot understand that whatever Krishna does, being absolute in nature, is all good. This quality of the Lord is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. One may consider certain acts of a supremely powerful person to be immoral by mundane calculations, but this is not actually the case. For example, the sun absorbs water from the surface of the earth, but it does not absorb water only from the sea. It also absorbs water from filthy sewers and ditches containing urine and other impure substances. The sun is not polluted by absorbing such water. Rather, the sun makes the filthy place pure. If a devotee approaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead for an immoral or improper purpose, he nonetheless becomes purified. The Lord does not become infected. In Srimad Bhagavatam it is stated that if one approaches the Supreme Lord even out of lust, anger or fear, kamam, krodha, bhajam, he is purified. The gopis, being young girls, approached Krishna because he was a beautiful young boy. From the external point of view, they approached the Lord out of lust, and the Lord danced with them at midnight. From the mundane point of view, these activities may appear immoral because a married or unmarried young girl cannot leave home to mix with a young boy and dance with him. Although this is immoral from the mundane viewpoint, the activities of the gopis are accepted as the highest form of worship, because it was Lord Krishna whom they approached with lusty desires in the dead of the night. But these things cannot be understood by non-devotees. One must understand Krishna in tattva, truth. One should use his common sense and consider that if simply by chanting Krishna's holy name one is purified, how then can the person Krishna be immoral? Unfortunately, mundane fools are accepted as educational leaders and are offered exalted posts for teaching irreligious principles to the general populace. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.31. Blind men are trying to lead other blind men. Due to the immature understanding of such rascals, common men should not discuss Krishna's pastimes with the gopis. A non-devotee should not even discuss his stealing sweet rice for his devotees. It is warned that one should not even think about these things. Although Krishna is the purest of the pure, mundane people thinking of Krishna's pastimes that appear immoral themselves become polluted. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore never publicly discussed Krishna's dealings with the gopis. He used to discuss these dealings only with 3 confidential friends. He never discussed Rasa-līlā publicly, as the professional reciters do. Although they do not understand Krishna of the nature of or the audience, however, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu encouraged the public chanting of the holy name on a huge scale for as many hours as possible. The priest continued, "Would the sannyasi, whose name is Madhavendra Puri, please come and take this pot of sweet rice and enjoy the prasadam with great happiness? You are the most fortunate person within these 3 worlds." Hearing this invitation, Madhavendra Puri came out and identified himself. The priest then delivered the pot of sweet rice and offered his obeisances, falling flat before him. When the story about the pot of sweet rice was explained to him in detail, Sri Madhavendra Puri at once became absorbed in ecstatic love for Krishna. Upon seeing the ecstatic loving symptoms manifest in Madhavendra Puri, the priest was struck with wonder. He could understand why Krishna had become so much obliged to him, and he saw that Krishna's action was befitting. The priest offered his obeisances to Madhavendra Puri and returned to the temple. Then, in ecstasy, Madhavendra Puri ate the sweet rice offered to him by Krishna. After this, Madhavendra Puri washed the pot and broke it into pieces. He then bound all the pieces in his outer cloth and kept them nicely. Each day, Madhavendra Puri would eat 1 piece of that earthen pot, and after eating it, he would immediately be overwhelmed with ecstasy. These are wonderful stories. Having broken the pot and bound the pieces in his cloth, Madhavendra Puri began to think, "The Lord has given me a pot of sweet rice, and when the people hear of this tomorrow morning, there will be great crowds." Thinking this, Sri Madhavendra Puri offered his obeisances to Gopinath on the spot and left Remuna before morning. Walking and walking, Madhavendra Puri finally reached Jagannath Puri, which is also known as Nilachal. There he saw Lord Jagannath and was overwhelmed with loving ecstasy. When Madhavendra Puri was overwhelmed in the ecstasy of love of Godhead, he sometimes stood up and sometimes fell to the ground. Sometimes he laughed, danced and sang. In this way he enjoyed transcendental bliss by seeing the Jagannath deity. When Madhavendra Puri came to Jagannath Puri, people were aware of his transcendental reputation. Therefore crowds of people came and offered him all sorts of respects in devotion. Even though one may not like it, reputation as ordained by providence comes to him. Indeed, one's transcendental reputation is known throughout the entire world. Being afraid of his reputation, Pratishta, Madhavendra Puri fled from Remuna. But the reputation brought by love of Godhead is so sublime that it goes along with the devotee, as if following him. Madhavendra Puri wanted to leave Jagannath Puri because the people were honoring him as a great devotee. However, this threatened to hinder his collecting sandalwood for the Gopala deity. Sri Madhavendra Puri told all the servants of Lord Jagannath and all the great devotees there the story of the appearance of Sri Gopal. When all the devotees at Jagannath Puri heard that the Gopal deity wanted sandalwood in great pleasure, they all endeavored to collect it. Those who were acquainted with government officers met with them and begged for camphor and sandalwood, which they collected. One Brahmana and one servant were given to Madhavendra Puri just to carry the sandalwood. He was also given the necessary travelling expenses. To get past the toll collectors along the way, Madhavendra Puri was supplied with the necessary release papers from government officers. The papers were placed in his hand. In this way, Madhavendra Puri started for Vrindavan with the burden of sandalwood, and after some days he again reached the village of Remuna and the Gopinath temple there. When Madhavendra Puri reached the temple of Gopinath, he offered his respectful obeisances many times at the lotus feet of the Lord. In the ecstasy of love, he began to dance and sing without cessation. When the priest of Gopinath saw Madhavendra Puri again, he offered all respects to him and given him the sweet rice prasadam made him eat. Madhavendra Puri took rest that night in the temple, but towards the end of the night he had another dream. Okay, we stop here. A little bit of cliffhanger. What dream would Madhavendra Puri have? 82, okay. Yeah, sweet. What do you say?
82.
Yeah. No, that is the page. Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya-līlā, chapter 4. Sri Madhavendra Puri's devotional service, Ki Jai. And the author...
Which text did you finish?
Text 157.
157.
Jai Śrīla Kṛṣṇadāsa Kavirāja Gosvāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Visvavarena Śrīla A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swāmī Prabhupada Ki Jai. Then we're reading from The Loving Search for the Lost Servant by Om Vishnupad Śrīla Bhakti Rakak Śrīdhar Gosvāmī Maharaj. and it is the chapter Beneath the Loving Eye of God, page 27. Vishnu Padam. What does it mean, Vishnu Padam?
The lotus feet of Lord Vishnu.
Yes.
Vishnu Param.
The divine feet of our Holy Lord are like the vigilant eye of a grand guardian, hanging over our heads like the sun, and we are living beneath the glance of that vigilant eye. We shall always try to live not in the objective, but in the subjective relativity. We should think, above my consciousness is superconsciousness. The vigilant guardian's eye is always watching over me. Okay, can we do that? Can we try to do that? That is a very nice, exercise, right? Bring the mind always back to that. The lotus feet of Vishnu, of the Lord, they're looking at me. And the mind goes here and there. Always bring that back. And do then the best what you can in your service life, in your chanting, in your seeing the Lord, the deity form, helping the devotees, serving the devotees. Beneath the loving eye of God, the Rig Veda mantra says, Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Param Sada Pashyanti Suraya Diviva Shakshur Atatam. The divine feet of our Holy Lord are like the sun above our heads. His holy feet are like the vigilant eye of a grand guardian, hanging over our heads like the sun, and we are living beneath the glance of that vigilant eye. We are interested not in objective, but in subjective reality. Who can explain that to me? We are not interested in the objective, but in the subjective reality. Gopal, can you explain that to me?
What can I say?
But we are living in the objective world, right? It's objects. What we can see with our eyes, and we can hear with our ears, what we can touch, what we can smell, taste, these are objects, right? That is the material world. And the body. But a devotee is always living in a subjective existence, always connecting with the Lord, always thinking the lotus feet of Vishnu are above us. So that is the change of living with the mind and the senses, because what we see with the senses, the mind gives some narrative to that, right? To calm that whole system down. That is not a reality. But in the reality is that we live in the soul, the Atma Dharma, the soul, super subjective consciousness. Śrīla Guru Maharaj has that book, The Evolution of Super Subjective Consciousness. That's our interesting, courageous, very interesting, I said that, very courageous, yeah? You have to do something what is against what is normal in the material world. But it is a very happy and an intelligent and the best life we can have. We should never think, under my feet I have firm ground to stand on, I'm big, I shall stand erect. Rather we should think, above my consciousness is superconsciousness. The vigilant guardian's eye is always watching me. I am living under the glance of that eye. Our support comes not from below, but from above. He is our shelter. We are hanging from that substantial upper world wherein He resides. Our support is found there. We must always be conscious of that. This is the principal mantra in the Rig Veda. Before anyone approaches a new duty, he should think about his own position. That is like common in India, like before you start something new in the day or you work, or you always say this mantra. Om Vishnu Pada Padam. I'm aware of that, and that's why it will be auspicious for my environment and also for me to remember that. It is a custom in India. Like, for example, Srila Govinda Maharaj says, when they start something in school, right? When they had to write an essay or something, or arithmetics, everything but writing was involved, and they had paper in front of it. They had to write on top of it, God is good. Srila Gurudev taught us that. God is good. They begin with that. So nice. You are under the vigilant eye of your guardian, and that great eye is as living as the sun. Its glance is just like that of the sun, which is over our head, like a light that can pierce through to see anything within you. His piercing glance is upon you. With this understanding of identity, we should approach our duty. We are never encouraged to think that we stand firmly here on solid ground, and that on the basis of a strong position, independent of His grace, we can carry out our Dharma. Actually, in our subjective relationship with divinity, we are just like the rays of the sun. Where do the sun rays stand? They stand on the sun. That is their source. In the same way, we should think that our stand is in the realm of divinity. We are so many particles of consciousness, and our stand, our motherland, is that conscious area. God consciousness means Krishna consciousness. We are consciousness, and we are meant for Krishna consciousness. That is our relationship. We should always be conscious of this fact. We are connected with Krishna consciousness. We are members of the Krishna conscious world, and we have come to wander in the foreign land of material consciousness. Mayika, misconception, thinking that we are units of this material world, but it is not so. We are units of the conscious world, the Krishna conscious world, and somehow we have come within this material conception of existence, the world of matter. Matter is what we can exploit, the objective side of reality, and the subjective side is the element we should revere. Our relationship with the subjective is that of reverence and devotion to the higher entity, and not that of exploitation or enjoyment. Real enjoyment, divine enjoyment, comes from service, not from exploitation. We must understand all these basic principles. Bhaktivedanta Swāmī Maharaj once remarked to me that although the engineers in New York have built so many skyscrapers, buildings. Do you know what's a skyscraper? Kopo? These are these high buildings, these high flats you see in the modern cities.
Yeah, exactly.
So he says all these engineers built these skyscrapers that will stand for ages. They were never mindful of how long their own bodies would last. The buildings will stand for a long, long time, but those who will live in those buildings have forgotten how long their bodies will stand. In this way, people are very busy on the objective side, but they are neglecting the subjective values. Their concern is with objects and not with who will use them. They think that no subjective cultivation is necessary for the user of the objective world. In this way, they give all importance to the objective side, neglecting totally the subjective side. Yeah, that is what the people are in this world are. They think they are the body, they think they are the mind, they think they are the intelligence. Everything what they have is for them, but it's a complete delusion. What will be after there when they die? What birth do they get next? When you live that way, next birth is not in a human form. What a choice you make to live in a material world full of illusion everywhere, with all the people in it. So busy dealing with this illusion in all sorts of forms. And forgetting the Atma Dharma, forgetting the soul duty of the soul. And getting our way out of this temporary, egoistic life of illusion. Okay? Saraswati, any additions?
So wonderful, Devi. Said it very nicely.
Okay, Jai. Srila Om Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti, Rakak, Śrīla Dev Gosvāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Gurudev. Loving search for the lost servant Ki Jai. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinath Madanamaha. Sri Caitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghuna. Sri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasara Guna. Jai Kusai Kuri Charana Bandham. Yaite Vijnana Savishtapuya. Jai Kusai Jamui Tarada. Tamsavara Padare Numura Panchakras. Tandira Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanebas. Janame Janame Mohe Avilas. Jai Kosai Jabe Bracha Kolabas. Yada Krishna Nitya-līlā Anande Bolari Bhaja Vrindavan. Sri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayama. Sri Guru Vaishnava Pade Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gita Gora Haribo 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 Gita Gora Haribo Gita Gora Haribo 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 Gita Gora Haribo Devananda Prabhu.
Jai Shishi Guru Vara Kavirāja
Jai.
Jayam Vishipad Paramhansa Kavirāja Kachara Gaya Asita Sacha Shishi Mashri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dei Gosvāmī Maharaj
Jai.
Jayam Vishipad Paramhansa Kavirāja Kachara Gaya Asita Sacha Shishi Mashri Bhakti Sundar Dei Gosvāmī Maharaj
Jai.
Jayam Vishipad Paramhansa Kavirāja Kachara Gaya Asita Sacha Shishi Mashri Bhakti Śrīdhar
Jai.
Jayam Vishipad Shri Kṛṣṇadāsa Babaji Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Jayam Vishipad Shri Sachi Devī Dāsī ki Jai.
Jai.
Jayam Vishipad Shri Caitanya-caritāmṛta Babaji Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Shri Pranaka Kavirāja ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Namachar Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai.
Jai.
Esi Bhakti Swāmī Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Anantikoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai.
Jai.
David Jabushan ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai.
Narottam Samananda Śrīnivāsa Acharya Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur ki Jai.
Jai.
Kṛṣṇadāsa Kavirāja ki Jai.
Jai.
Gosvāmī se Vrindavan ki Jai.
Jai.
Nanda Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai.
Mahaprabhu ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopi Nasham Kunvara Kun Gibi Govardhan ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Lakshmi Rama Devi ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya Shri Nisingade ki Jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Maharaj ki Jai. Bhakti Bhagavatam Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki Jai.
Jai.
Mahārani ki Jai.
Jai.
Vishnu Vaishnava Vacha Sabha ki Jai. Agama
Jai.
Vacha Tri Chaitanya Mat ki Jai. Dadaya Sakamat ki Jai. Shri
Jai.
Chaitanya Swāmī ki Jai.
Jai.
Vishnu Devi Dadaya Sakamat ki Jai. Shri
Jai.
Mayapur ki Jai. Shri Dhanabhadvin ki Jai.
Jai.
Vrindavan Purushottam Dham ki Jai.
Jai.
Pandita Shri Vijaya Jagannath ji ki Jai.
Jai.
Kavirāja ki Jai. Shri Śrīdhar Kṛṣṇadāsa ki Jai. Shri
Jai.
Vaishnava Mandali ki Jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhakti ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki
Jai.
All the devotees ki Jai.
Jai.
All the devotees all over the world ki Jai.
Jai.
Go Premanandi.
Haribo.